Oh,
I don't have
now they're
Nori.
gone.
Oh, I don't have Nori or Danny's number, so I
What?
can't
They
text
can
them.
hear you. And you're the only one who's doing it. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yep, someone's coming. Who just texted me? Bob. All right, Bob's coming.
I'm texting Nori.
All right, thanks. All right, we got Ash here. We're just waiting on Bob, and then we can call this thing to order.
What's with the lock there?
I wonder what your most recently used emojis say about your personality. Just texted Bob a checkered flag because it was the last thing I used.
I noticed there's two Melissa Matuskas on my list.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm Amanda Antunes. I think I clicked the link she sent me, and
You can change your name if you go up to the top.
how do I
There's
do
like
this?
blue dots, and if you click that, you can rename it. I was Melissa Matuska too.
Okay, I'm afraid to touch anything because I don't want to mess up. Phone.
There. Oh, she's on.
I'm on my phone. I've got.
It's trickier. I'm with you. I wouldn't mess.
I'm afraid I don't want to touch anything and bring this up. I'm Amanda.
I changed my name too.
Okay.
You changed it to Janae?
No.
Jeez. Jagger.
Can I change Brian's name? No, I can't.
Yeah, nice try.
There we go.
All right. Oh, I see. Oh, Kevin just joined. Okay, hi Kevin.
Hi,
We're just waiting on
No
Bob
video.
for a quorum.
I don't see my video for some reason. Shit,
Don't see you as well.
sorry. I can try to rejoin.
We can hear you and you can hear us. That's what really
Okay.
counts. Come on, Bob. Where are you? Naomi just texted and said she can't come.
What? Is it muted?
Here,
Sabrina,
I
how's
was-
the city?
What was that?
How's everything over at the city?
It's good. Same old, same old. For now.
Kevin, what is this picture of you outside of a prison?
That is a picture of me outside of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. I was doing a
Where are you going?
documentary there, right? I was on the outside. I was not on the inside. But yeah, I haven't changed that picture for some reason, but I kind of like it now, sort of.
You're also like mean mugging the camera.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Bob's here, so we can get started.
Okay, here we go. We got quorum. Yeah. Can I get the agenda, please, Miss Godeski? Hear ye, calling this the May 6th, 2025 Norwalk Arts and Cultural Commission to order. A roll call. I will list you off. Brian Casper, Chair. I am present. We have Bob Abriola.
Here, present. Sorry, I
Good
was
day,
late.
sir. All good. Mark Allen,
Here,
Janae Sylvester,
Here.
Melissa Matuska. Here.
Here.
unmute mine.
And we have Kevin Huffman as well.
Here.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, first thing on our agenda is acceptance of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read said minutes? And are there any additions or corrections?
No, good. From me.
Cool. Okay. In that case, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 4th meeting?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have a second?
Melissa seconds.
Thank you, Melissa. Brian Casper, I vote aye. Bob Abriola. Oh,
Aye.
abstain, actually. Weren't you not there?
Yeah, it was me.
Mark, who's changed his name to Bob Abriola on the Zoom. Mark Allen,
I approve.
Janae Sylvester.
Abstain.
Thank you. Melissa Matuska.
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes carry. Next, we have public participation. Are there any members of the public not affiliated with the traffic box, that is,
There are none.
who wish to address the commission?
No one's here.
Right on. I love when we just hum right along. I mean, I don't like that people don't come,
Yeah,
but
we're
I
moving
like when we
forward.
move through it. First and foremost,
All right,
on
Dan. Oh,
new-
sorry, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Under new business, we are approving the Rowayton school traffic graphic box. Melissa, do you want to take this away, since this is
I would like
bit of
to.
your, yeah, go ahead.
Yep, so there is a traffic graphic box, or a traffic box that is right as you turn off of the main road into the school, and it really is an eyesore. And so they've wanted to paint it, and so what they did was they had the students come up with renderings of what they would like to do, and Ms. Antunes was the one who coordinated these efforts over at Rowayton Elementary, and she chose, or the school chose, Jagger Little's work. And so, to be honest, as part of that, they did not ask Jagger to present or anything, but I happen to know Jagger. And so I said, oh, this would be a great opportunity for him to, get some real life experience and, come on and maybe tell us about his work, just like the artists do whenever they pitch to us.
Yeah.
But seeing that he is in 5th grade, I want to, obviously go a little easy on him. But I know he can do it.
He
And
said
I
he
thought
wants
he could
real-
tell us,
real
maybe
world
what inspired
experience.
him. And if you guys have some questions.
Right on.
Yes, that's that real world experience. So I knew this would be the perfect group to do that.
Right on. I love it.
Okay. Do y'all have
Jagger-
any questions about location or the box or anything? And then I'll let the artist explain.
Where is it? Where is the box located again?
It's on the street. I think it's Rowton. I will double check the street name for you, and it's literally as you're turning into the school. So it's on the corner of the school.
At that light there, yeah.
Oh, I'm
At the
sorry.
light.
I missed what school it was.
Rowayton.
Oh, wait.
Rowayton Elementary. Sorry about that.
Cool. Thank you.
Right on. Cool.
Okay. Any other
Um,
questions?
No.
Okay. I will turn it over to Jagger. And Jagger, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your piece.
I made it how it is because we're in Rowayton, and that's right next to an ocean, or the Long Island Sound, and there's a lighthouse near Rowayton. And then for the sail, I did the Rowayton colors. and I didn't want to make a normal sky because it would blend in with the water, so I made a sunset.
Nice. Jagger, how long have you been drawing and painting and being an artist?
Oh, since you could hold a pen. Right?
I don't know.
As long as we can all remember.
Right on. Same here, buddy. And what's your favorite thing to draw?
What have you been drawing a lot of lately?
Well, I don't know.
No?
I like abstract.
Abstract.
Oh, man. Does anyone else have any questions for Jagger?
I would like to add a little bit more as far as just the logistics and stuff. So we are giving them permission to paint this box. We're gonna give them the paints. And then, you know, later on, if they decide they want to change this, you know, obviously they would give us whatever renderings or whatever. So they will kind of, you know, just oversee and maintain this traffic graphic.
Mhm. Jagger, are you going to paint it by yourself, or are you going to have some friends help you?
I don't know.
Actually, we were hoping Ms. Antunes could tell us how that worked.
So Jagger is actually part of the Artistically Talented program at Rowayton Elementary School. So I have 17 fifth grade students. My hope was that each of those students could pitch in a little bit, because the idea was sort of a combination between all of them. We all thought of the idea. They all came to the theme of the ocean, and Jagger sort of put it together very seamlessly, where the front and the back and the sides all were very cohesive and beautiful. So I would like to have the Art T kids, and then give the option of any other fifth grade student who wants to participate. I have to speak with Dr. Cummings, the principal, about that, but my vision is that any fifth grade student who wants to add their artistic touch would be part of it, kind of going towards Jagger's vision, and I would sketch it out. And I'm thinking maybe bring out 5 kids at a time with another teacher and create.
Okay.
Nice.
I did want to mention also that Dr. Cummings really did want to be here, but she had to do a budget meeting. So I did want to mention that.
Hey, Amanda, I had a question. Did the condition burnt box, do you know what the condition? Is it a newer box? Is it already like what's the condition?
I know that the school, we just raised thousands and thousands of dollars to redo the path, and they put a new pathway, and they planted new plants and put new stonework and everything. And this light box is sort of messing up the view.
Yeah.
Really, the parents raised so much money to fix the sidewalk and put new benches in and redo the front of the school. So I think it would just be such an addition if there was work from the actual students to go along.
I'm sorry.
I think it might be older, Bob, because
Yeah.
there's
I don't
also a
know.
little sign on it that says City of Norwalk. That's not something that we normally see.
Yeah, let me frame why I'm asking that question, because I do a lot of the boxes, traffic boxes. So if it's an older box, it would need to be prepped, like, so you'd have to prepare it.
Okay.
There is requirements for the type of paint to use, and then it needs to be sealed with an anti-graffiti. So there's steps and all that we can help provide for you, but the most important thing is preparing it so that the paint will take and it doesn't peel. So that's like really important. So that's why I was asking the question.
Okay.
And we will help you
I don't know.
with giving instructions on what.
Yeah, we have that.
It's
We have that.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't
Where-
leave you high and dry on that.
where exactly is the box? I can go drive by and take a look at it. Where is it again?
One Avenue.
What is it?
One- Avenue.
One Roten.
One Roten Avenue. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And then was there an application made for that? Because there's a whole application process for the box.
I think we've streamlined that whole process now. It's basically all under our jurisdiction. Is that right, Sabrina?
Yeah, we don't have a formal approval process. I just check if the box is eligible to be painted or not, which we already did that with PMP and they said it was. And then once we approved the artwork, we just signed a contract, me as the representative and PMP that everything's all good essentially.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And this is a great this is a great example of, you know, a pretty low lift for us to engage more of our citizens, including some of our youngest artists, to get involved and get some of this experience and hopefully, you know, catch the bug of being an artist. So I'd love to see this on a personal level. I think this is really incredible to see the students come together and want to do this, and to see Jagger's rendering. I can't wait to see this happen.
It may be nice to put like the school logo or something like on the box. Like there's times that we've done that where we put a logo on that can get sealed in. Might be kind of a nice add-on.
I say Jagger signs it, and that's enough for me.
Oh yeah, of course he signs. But I'm saying if a bunch of students,
Yeah. Does anyone else have questions, comments, concerns?
No, I think it's all great. I think it's fantastic. So,
yeah.
Do I get to make a motion? Is that what I get to do? Sorry about the kid in the background.
Yeah, is there a motion to approve this design?
I would like to make a motion. It's Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. By roll, Brian Casper, I vote aye. Mark Allen,
Aye.
Bob Abriola,
Aye.
Melissa Matuska,
Aye.
and Janae Sylvester. Oh, recognizing that Nori Gruden is here now too. Janae Sylvester.
Aye.
Thank you, Janae. And Nori Gruden.
Aye.
There we are. The ayes carry unanimously. Excellent. Congratulations, Jagger, on getting your first public art project approved. Don't get too comfortable in that space. But I can't wait to see this happen. The Arts Commission, as Bob has already mentioned, is definitely here to assist wherever we can, whether that be with expertise, direction, whatever questions you have. But I can't wait to see this happen. So congrats.
Thank you for supporting the school.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your willingness to put your art in the public realm. It's cool to see.
We're excited.
Yeah,
And I know all his friends are excited too.
they are.
Excellent.
I got one last question. Is Jagger a Rolling Stone fan? That's a great first name, by the way.
His mom is.
His mom is. All right.
There we go.
I don't know, do you like the Rolling Stones? Mick Jagger? We haven't gotten there yet. We're
All
working.
right. All right.
As long as it's not the Beatles, I'm okay with it.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so next up in new business is the discussion on the Ely Avenue fencing RFQ.
Thank you so
Has everybody had a chance to
By the way,
look over?
Jagger and Tunes, y'all don't have to stay, just to let you.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to see the wheels of Norwalk government at work, but it can be kind of boring at times.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for all you do.
I can't wait to tell the rest of the students tomorrow. They're going to
Right
be
on.
so excited. Thank you so much.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure. Has everyone had a chance to look over these applicants for the RFQ? So actually, before we even really dive into this, I do want to mention that we're not really voting on anything right now. We will have a subcommittee put together after this sort of initial discussion, and actually, you know what, before we do this, because Ash is here for our next agenda item, should we maybe change the agenda? Do we have a motion? I'm saying because I just want to be conscious of our non-commission members' time. Do we
Yeah,
have a
we could
motion
just,
to
you would just make
change
a
the?
motion to change the order of the agenda and then approve it and then she can go.
Okay, can I make that
Make the
motion?
motion for you, Brian.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Janae. Brian Casper, I vote aye. Melissa Matuska. I think that was an aye. I'm gonna take it as an aye. Bob Abriola,
Aye.
Mark Allen.
Aye.
Janae Sylvester.
Aye.
And Nori Gruden.
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes carry. We're changing the agenda to go over item number C next. So this is coming back from a couple months ago. We had gotten the ball rolling with Ash Nichols on a branding project to sort of brand the district. Based on our feedback, she had some initial kind of directions that were a little different from each other, and then we narrowed it down to one of them. I forget which number it was, doesn't matter. And then through that sort of fine tuning, she's now given us, let's say, 3 directions within the direction. Is Ash able? I guess we don't really need Ash. I just want her to be able to scroll. Is she able to share her screen? Sabrina?
We sure can.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
before we go any further, we just got interrupted for a split second. Could you just give that brief intro again for
Yeah,
Jeanette?
of course.
She was away.
Of course. So a few months ago, we brought Ash on to sort of brand our district, to give ourselves some kind of a mark or a logo to identify it. As everybody remembers, I had everyone sort of vote on these 3 somewhat different directions, and then within that, she's now exploring our preferred direction, which was there we go. That's the one. This is slightly more minimal but energetic, colorful, approach with kind of more shape and form and patterning, kind of defining our eventual mark. So within that, Ash is now kind of expanded upon it in 3 new, so we'll call them sub-directions of this selected mood board. I'll let Ash just quickly walk through this. I hope everyone had a chance to look through it. And we will be reviewing this. We'll have a moment to ask Ash any specific questions, discuss, and then eventually vote on this of the 3 that will be turned into what will hopefully be our final or close to final mark and logo for the Arts and Cultural District. To be clear, this is for the district, not for the commission. But I do hope that this can expand into some logo making for the commission as well. But for now, it is just for the district. Ash, go ahead, take it away.
Sweet. Is my mic on?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. I didn't know if I did that before. Hey, y'all. Good to see you again or meet you, depending if you were here last time. As Brian said, we kind of landed on this mood board, and I have 3 directions for the logos. So the first one kind of is based off of a central icon and then expanding off with shapes and different counterforms. I can go over here. So again, really wanting to build into kind of Norwalk being this central kind of fixture, Arts and Cultural District kind of being a central force in the community that can kind of be embellished by geometric shapes. So here, kind of was liking how this builds, where there's this base block logo type, and then using counterforms from the acronyms. So these are kind of negative shapes that make up the logo. And then by taking those shapes and kind of doing this math equation, came up with a handful of kind of geometric logos that could kind of act as a playful brand extension. So here, these are made out of the N's, the A's, or the C's and D's. So kind of giving it a 2-part logo where we kind of have this central, more neutral kind of square logo, or different subcategories, if that's ever something to discuss, could have kind of these differentiated logos that all kind of play nice together and look cohesive. Kind of an example of how that could come with a color palette, kind of inspired by the I Heart Norwalk colors. And then again, really liking how those shapes can be also used as graphic elements if you have a need for further brand extension in the future. I'm going to keep rocking, and then at the end, maybe we could go back or chat about anything if that works.
Ash, I can't see your screen anymore.
Yeah, we lost your share.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
We only missed the colorful page. So
okay, I'm so sorry about that. I'm a little bit, we're in the middle of a move, so everything is in different places than normal.
There we go.
Are you
Pattern
back?
Tuesday. Yep,
Pattern
gotcha.
Tuesday. Okay, cool. So kind of again, just how it could, those kind of counterform letters that are building the logo could also be used as brand extensions. Cool. Just holler at me if it gets weird again. And then the second direction, I was kind of really liking the idea of Norwalk's Norwalk Arts and Cultural District being like a space and a district, like something that is, you know, geographical location based, and kind of took that to make these kind of brick-like patterns to kind of reference community building and, you know, individuals building communities. Also wanted to talk about the potential for an acronym. Kind of just wanted to throw this out there and see where you guys feel. Thinking, you know, acronyms can help simplify and maintain brand recognizability. But also wanting to acknowledge that like NACT feels like a terrible name for something. So like NACD or any kind of variation of Norwalk AC&D, Norwalk ACD could be better options than NACT.
No, it's not cud.
Knocked, no. Oh gosh. But just really thinking that between branding and then consistent self-referencing, that could be, you know, reinforced.
Is there an image you're sharing? I'm not seeing it.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
I see you're sharing your screen. I'm just not seeing.
There's not an image here.
You have it. Just change the page. She hadn't gone on to the next page. There you go.
Oh, all right. There you go.
Thanks. So this is kind of where I came up with that, wanting to reference space, and again, liking options for like a flexible system that allows for use across different platforms, or variety of use that keeps it interesting while also being recognizable as a brand. And then playing around with that same kind of space, kind of pending thoughts and feelings, options for any sort of initial mark or icon, or like a little button, or, you know, abbreviated icon. Little color example. And then kind of using those brick-like patterns, so a little bit more brick by brick, and could be played up or down with color as well. And then final one is kind of more type-based one, wanting to have warm colors and appealing typography or welcoming typography, and same kind of thoughts about, pardon me, the acronyms too. So this one kind of was inspired by like the I Heart Norwalk logo, and thought it could play well around that, or be recognizable as sharing colorful and kind of straight, thicker lines. So kind of share some visual references. And a couple other versions of how initial mark could work, kind of really liking this one line version, and some of these buttons kind of with the playful colors inspired by the I Heart Norwalk as well. Color version. And then some interesting opportunities for pattern with both the rounded and the squared shapes. I forgot to put a overview page. Apologies not to have them all locked up next to each other. But let me know if I can land anywhere.
Excellent. Thanks, Ash. If I'm to just jump in here with some of my sort of I guess preference. I think direction 2 personally, namely, if you go to page 10, one down, on the very first logo type, you know, you have it sort of Norwalk and district, and this starts to reflect the actual layout of the district, because it's this sort of barbells, 2 downtowns, and that expanded upon into the brick pattern. I think it's a really nice play on both the physical geography of the space, and you go to your next page. And the same thing on these initial marks, this kind of zigzag Tetris shape starts to really play with the fact that we kind of have these two downtowns, connected with the ampersand is a nice little touch, and almost like secondary benefit to that layout specifically. If I'm just going to toss it out there and say my preference, direction 2 feels good and contemporary, but also playful, and interesting, especially when we start to get into patterning. But I will let other commission members ask questions or make comments on some of their faves here so far.
So Brian, just to clarify in terms of what you're saying, Ash, can you go back to the previous slide? Would you, in terms of the shape that you like, was that the top left or right, or was that?
Yeah, the top two, yeah, exactly. That's highlighted there. In terms of, because it's a lot of information, and this starts to give it a nice little shape, but then also to play it up into the acronym too, in that same zigzag. It's not exactly, doesn't exactly look like the district, but the fact that it's kind of these two rectangles coming together. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm leaning toward those two shapes as well. That shape as well. And I wasn't sure why, but that's really interesting. I often go for like I like symmetry a lot, but I really love the way that kind of like how that balances without being.
And the brick by brick concept is really lovely. That's, we're building something here. The arts is, these some of its parts, right? It's lots of pieces that come together to make a whole. So, and I generally just love the concept of this direction.
Yeah.
Because of that. Others, questions, comments?
This is Melissa. I do like how this top one, I too was drawn to it, but I happen to like the third option better. Is there a way that we could marry the two things, like the angles that you're talking about, where it's the Norwalk and the arts and cultural and the district underneath? I do happen to like this part. I just happen to really like the layout of all three of these things, but I feel like we could also incorporate what you're talking about, where it's Norwalk Art and Cultural District. Because like this one right here, I feel like, what if we switch this one with what we're all liking on number 2?
Just, you're talking about using this typeface within that shape.
I don't know if it has to be this. I don't know. I would like to see what it looks like. I happen to like the. Can you go back to the one picture that has like 4 different things on it? That's the colorful in the section 3.
The sort of logo marks of the third direction.
The logo marks. Sorry, I couldn't.
This?
I really like this. I feel like this one, I feel like we could pull some of the colors from our large mural to make it, kind of part of the city. It also reminds me of New York City. So it makes it seem like, this is part of the Northeast. I don't know. I just am really drawn to this portion right here. I feel like we can marry the two.
Yeah, I think this one has a lot of like color and energy and warmth. That could be even some way to marry the two a little bit more. I think this one, I really like the strength of kind of the bold sans serif of this too. So it'll be an interesting challenge to kind of bring some more of that warmth into it. But I can see what you mean by that.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the feedback, guys. It's awesome.
Others?
Yeah, whenever I can get a chance here.
Yeah, go for it, Bob.
Yep. So I think, Melissa, you're bringing up color, and I don't want us to get influenced by color. So I think the brand should stand strong, black and white, and then you do a color exploration as kind of a part 2. So you're showing the 2 there. I agree with a lot of your comments, Brian, for option 2. I think the building blocks and I don't want to add much to that commentary, but if you go to the third option and go to the acronym lockup. Let me speak to that. Nope, go back one more. Yeah, there's something to the 4 letters that I like, but there's a little bit of unbalancing there. But if you look at this,
it's the C.
no, I know, but hold on, let me finish. If you look
Sorry.
if you look at the N, right, you can actually make all 4 letters from that exact shape to have it
Mhm.
all the way around, right? And the only thing you really have to do is the crossbar on the A, and then potentially you may not even have to put the vertical line in for the D, but you could probably build a very symmetrical 4-letter image by using that one shape. Because the C, you're right, Brian. The C is not really working because it's the spacing is not really there. So
Yes, I did actually do some exploration there and was kind of having difficulties
yeah,
for other reasons.
Visually, it probably can't be as high as the N. Maybe it just has to be a little bit shorter, but you have to come up with like what that common image would be that you can use the A, the C, and the D out of it. So it's all the same in balance. But that may be actually a pretty strong mark at the I'd love to see that refined. And I would do it just black and white for now. Then if we like it and it's strong enough, then you do like a phase 2, which would be, like a color exploration on it.
Use the N and turn it 45 degrees. I mean, I feel like because the A is so similar to the N, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
turn
the N.
Yeah, right
But
now
I
the
do
C
like
is,
that.
C is narrow.
Yeah, instead of them doing 90, they could be all 45, so it kind of goes different. But I there's something to that acronym as a quadrant that I think it's because you have 4 letters that have the same type of shape to them, turn differently. So it's a graphic design problem that you got to try to solve it.
Well, here's the other thing, though. If I remember correctly, when we were talking about this, weren't we talking about we'd want something that might even spread into different districts? So there might be a Norwalk Wall Street district. There might be like a Sono district. So, I mean, I could see like Sono being done in this lettering that might look really nice, and the Wall Street. So I feel like we need to look and see what those might look like together.
It wasn't that we were necessarily going to make each area. It was that we were talking about the different, if I remember this conversation correctly, we were talking about the different, basically the different art forms, theater, music, writing, visual arts, etc. And I think it's some of the reason that Ash is coming up with these different patterns for us is like something that could be used as visual indicators without saying music. And it's just like everything that has the one pattern would be sort of our music thing, and everything that would have a different pattern would be our theater things, as like just kind of a nugget to discuss. But maybe I'm misremembering what you're referring to. I don't know. Anyway, other comments, questions?
I like the other font 3 because the other 2 fonts remind me of work, and the fact that we have to use Times New Roman and it's very standard. I like the creativity of a different font. So I coloring is, we could do we could do black and white, the black lettering, we can go with other colors. My only thing with 1 is I like the concept, but I'm picturing all the feedback from everybody on social media going, why couldn't they put this the first one? I like it because I understand what it's for. I'm just, because it's not centered properly, all the feedback going, what do you mean they couldn't even, the negative stuff to it, the ones where it's blocked to do the streets. Just because there's those people on social media who are don't understand what's going on with it.
Yeah. I think the challenge with this one is the scale of the type versus the graphic. It's a tough one. Plus the star shape thing looks almost like a weapon. So I would just, this one was, I think we'd be challenged going down this road with this unless it's really reworked.
Yeah, this is a mark that I can see, Ash, where you're sort of inspired by, let's say like the Tate Britain or something. You know, these museums that are really cutting edge, and it definitely communicates that. But I don't mean to sort of like talk trash on Norwalk, but I also think the other two, and especially the third one, which is maybe why everyone's gravitating toward it, is, you know, we want it to be professional and we want it to be clean, even slightly austere. But I think the playfulness of those two is maybe why this one feels slightly disjointed from what Norwalk is. That said, I mean, I'd love the concept of the negative space, but yeah, I think yeah,
it's almost like too sophisticated, right? Like the other ones, I think you're spot on, right? Like the being arts and cultural and all the like, I feel it has to feel that playfulness, I think, in it a little bit.
And I think it's ultimately why Direction 2 speaks to me, because you know, not to drag Todd, our marketing designer, but some of the early things that he sent over were almost too playful and almost quirky, like quirky 90s or something. And this is a nice balance of the two. It's really, to me, it feels like this one here, Direction 2, is really marrying the austere, minimal professionalism, cutting edge, as you said, Bob, direction of 1, and the more playfulness of Direction 3. It's kind of a nice Venn diagram between the two, especially when you start to get into color and patterning. But
yeah. Well, maybe this too. Is there any other thing we can do to it to give it a little more uniqueness? And I'm just going to throw stupid ideas, but like maybe the O in Norwalk is a solid, instead of, negative space, is solid, or the O is cut in half, or there's something like that just gives it a little bit of a creative edge and makes it different so that we can call it our own.
You know what I liked, Bob, was along those lines. When I look at this, I see Norwalk and I see the CT of district, and it looks like Norwalk, Connecticut to me. And that's kind of like what I dig.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's kind of like like I try to, when I do logos, like what can I give it to just give it a little bit more uniqueness so that I can really say it's like unique. There's nothing out there.
It's not just the font.
Yeah, not just the font, right? Like sometimes just the font looks pretty good. Crate and Barrel does it, right? So big brands do, but we are an arts and cultural district. Like, can we do anything to this just to give it a little look exactly the way it is? Just one thing that gives it some uniqueness.
I agree.
There's something nice about having something that is a specific shape, again, just using this brick stack, that becomes sort of our shape. That I'm remembering when downtown LA did this big cultural creative rebrand. They created this mark that was sort of an L and an A. It kind of said LA, but not really, but it was sort of more of a shape. And then they basically just inserted artist work into this shape.
Oh yeah,
to start to signify it. And so by using something like this, or even the more simplified zigzag, we can start to potentially use that in marketing materials as just like, that's the mark. It doesn't necessarily always have to even say all these things.
Yeah. National Geographic has the yellow box.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they just superimpose it onto an image, like it, and what that is.
Yeah.
And given we're never going to be that recognizable as Nat Geo, but that's a great example, Bob. And so something, where can we find moments like that with some of these shapes? And part of me on Direction 3, the playfulness of Direction 3 doesn't allow us some of those opportunities. It starts to get into patterning and stuff, which is cool, but this one potentially gives us more of those opportunities.
Seems like
And maybe I'm thinking too far ahead.
You could put a line in there too, like maybe there's a line that goes to the top of the Norwalk, comes down, and then goes down and over. I don't know, building block, like you were saying, brick. Maybe that.
Kevin, were you
No,
about to say
yeah,
something?
I'm not an artist, but I mean, my feeling is that at the point that we're at in the campaign, right, so many people have no idea what this is. And NACD just strikes me as like a pharmaceutical ad that for some reason it's like, should I be taking NACD? Because like, it doesn't feel like it doesn't inform me of like what's going on, that there's actually an arts and cultural district. It's cool. I like it. I like the colors and I like the font and everything. But part of me feels like maybe just aside from the, aesthetics of the particular, design, there's also just kind of an informational thing that people just don't know that there's a cultural district. So there's an educational sort of side of this that like that we have an obligation to make it abundantly clear, what it is that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And so that's only my observation, and just that kind of
Well,
people, you have a hill to climb,
Yeah.
just so people even know that there is such a thing.
She had the lockup next to it, so the acronym was sitting. There's a line, and then the descriptor was to the right of it. I would never use that acronym just floating on its own without the descriptor locked up.
Yes, yeah, I like that part. Yeah, where you
Yeah.
saw the two. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how it would have to be until,
Yeah.
like IBM, no one knew what that was, but they probably had international, right? Until then you understood what IBM meant, right? So
Right.
we have to keep, if we went with an acronym, you'd have to have the descriptor with it until it could live on its own.
Yes, I would never recommend doing just the acronym
Yeah.
instead of
Absolutely. Yeah, that looks like a pill
Oh.
that I should be taking. Right. Sorry.
Ah,
Or not taking. Yes, right.
Oh, you're not taking it.
Yes, right.
I think. Does anyone else have notes or questions?
The one last thing I like about this one is, I always look at how logos can be animated, and when I see the way that the upper left one works, like I could see animation with the Norwalk,
Sure.
the district, and it kind of has some motion. So I already feel like the top left one is like showing me motion, and I just feel like it needs one little thing. I don't know, maybe the ampersand's a little bit smaller, like do something to it to make it unique.
Heard, chef. Yeah, I appreciate all the feedback.
We've got a lot of art directors.
So I think one of our best directions for this is maybe to do what we did last time, which is for everybody to email me. We'll do sort of rank choice voting on this. It seems like direction one is just getting the axe here.
Yeah.
But maybe we do. Maybe that's the best plan, because I feel like we could be discussing this forever rather than deciding right here, right now. Or do we feel like we have a clear direction and we can vote on this right here, right now?
I think it needs to be refined one more round, Brian.
We said between the two, direction 3, maybe one more crack at it.
I wouldn't be ready to vote on one right now. I think I'd still like to see if you're okay doing, just doing, so we could either rule out 3 or say we got a winner there. But I think a lot of people like 2, but I'd like to see one more round.
Okay, and then I'm getting slightly concerned about timing, just concerned. After that, I was kind of hoping that we could shop this back and come back with one direction that we could revise instead of 2 directions to revise. But if that's needed to get to that conclusion, I would be willing to do that.
Allow me to advocate for Ash. We've only paid Ash about $500 for this. So I think if we want to see her explore revisions on 2 directions, we need to approve some more money for Ash. And I guess that wasn't technically on our agenda. I don't know, Sabrina, how do we navigate that? Sabrina, are you still there? Are you drinking margaritas still?
No, I'm here. I thought I had muted myself, but I didn't. We can move forward and just, because we already vote, if you want to vote on more money, we can do that, because it's a nominal amount. So if you want to do that, we can do that, but it's up to you.
Or do we have to get a quote from Ash, or do we just toss out a random number? Do we say, hey, Ash, how much money do you want? And then we vote on it.
I would rather wait until the next meeting to have a proposal for the amount of money that she would need.
Okay.
I know it's
Yep. It's
a
annoying.
pain, but because it wasn't on the agenda, I don't just wanna,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay. Then, Bob, Ash, and I will have a
I mean,
conversation.
if we're all in agreement that you would like to have Ash be paid a little bit more to do both options, so Ash isn't doing nothing. We can agree that we want to look at the two options, and then we can approve both. Like, we'll have the two options the next meeting, as well as the approval of the money, and it would just have to be paid after that date. If that makes sense.
Okay, so we're basically voting to approve, for instance, direction 2 and 3 as the exploration, dependent on Ash's budgetary requests.
If I'm the only one that thinks 3 needs a little more work, then don't do it because of me. If the whole group, the committee here, feels as though 2 is the way to go, then let's just go 2 and
So
Okay, so these are options.
I agree with Bob. I would like to see 3 as well. So I would not be opposed to giving Ash a little more money, but I know it's a process.
So
Okay, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
There are things I like about 3. I like the fact that there's 4 letters. And I love the fact that you got the 4 letters and then you have the black and white on the right. I know, Bob, I agree with you about that the colors can be misleading and stuff, but I like the fact that there's that representation that has the 4 letters and then the line and then the spelled out what it is. To me, that I like all of that. I'm not certain about the shape of the letters, and I'm not certain about the colors of those letters. But based on what I've seen, I like it. I also like the representation in number 2. Am I forced to choose today which between 2 and 3? I would abstain on that, to be honest with you. And as far as the money goes, I'm not against paying her more, but I'd like to know if we're paying her more for one more round of revision, what exactly that includes, and then how far.
No, that's fair. Okay, so I think then, based on our agenda, this is sort of what's on the table. We kind of have 2 options. We have, we do ranked choice voting, as I just said, where everybody emails me their order them 1, 2, 3, and we pick a direction that way, or we do what Bob is suggesting, which is seeing revisions of 2 directions, that being 2 and 3, and then we will have to discuss with Ash about what she wants to get paid and bring that to the next meeting to vote on. So
I don't mean to interrupt, but I do have one quick question. I feel like we are kind of arguing 2 different things here, though. I think we all think that the black and white would be fine. And I think that we like the logo, but just want to alter it from 3. And I feel like the layering where we have the bricks is what we like on number 2. I feel like these are all different things that we could marry into one. Is that possible?
Potentially. I mean, it's all just things that can come out in the exploration of the 2 directions. But again, it's more time on this graphic designer's part. I want to make sure we're, my big thing, we pay artists for their work.
Oh, I agree with you there. I was just meaning as far as how we're moving forward with the direction.
Sure. I mean, it's something that I think, because Bob and myself have, kind of been in conversation with Ash, I mean, pretty minimally, but a little bit, that we can certainly discuss that. And that could be included in, in Ash's proposal next meeting, that, to explore that, it would cost X. To explore this, it would cost X. And we vote on that.
I think that's the right approach, because to be honest with you, that this is an entire district that we're branding, which is a very huge
Fair.
monumental thing. So I think
Fair.
the logo has value. If we're going to commit to it, we're going to print it, we're going to paint it, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Something we need to really be sure of.
Yeah.
Requires a little more money than.
Okay, so then in that case,
Yeah.
do we have a motion for Ash to continue exploration of two concepts? It looks like 2 and 3.
Yeah, I motion to do 2 options, 2 and 3.
I second.
Okay, then roll call vote. I vote nay. Mark Allen,
Yay.
Bob Abriola,
Yay.
Janae Sylvester. Janae,
Yay.
thank you. Melissa Matuska
Yay.
and Nori Gruden.
Yay.
The yeas carry. Ash, you, I, and Bob will powwow for a minute offline and talk about that, and then have you come up with a price to continue working on some of these concept things in the 2 directions, not just picking one tonight. So thank you for dealing with the wheels of government. And thank you for your work. I don't know how many of you have hired a graphic designer in the past, but we are getting a hell of a deal for this. All right.
Appreciate it, everyone. Have a good rest of your evening. Appreciate
Of course,
it.
thanks, Ash.
Good
Take care.
work.
Thank you for your work.
Okay, now on to what I think is the meatiest part of the agenda, which is discussing the Ely Avenue fencing RFQ. I want to make it clear that we are not going to be picking artists tonight. This is really just a conversation. We are going to form a subcommittee, I believe, that will include Darlene Young and another council member. Who was the other person, Sabrina?
It will be all the council members for the district. So it'll be DeJuan Wiggins and Darlene Young.
Okay, and then 3 commission members TBD. So and those that group of 5 people will make our recommendation of the 2 or 3 artists or artist groups that we will be then offering a proposal stipend to give us something a little fleshier. So I hope that everyone has had a chance to look through these. You know, it personally, I don't know. I'm sort of unimpressed. That's harsh of me, but the one personally that I would say I would almost immediately disclude is the sculpture one. That guy's, I can't imagine how he would do something on a fence. I can't imagine how he would activate the community to make stainless steel sculptures. Of these applicants, I do feel that we should give Oksana a shot. I think Jermaine would be very good at activating community. I think Five Fingers would be good at activating community. And I personally, remember we're allowed to extend invitations. I personally would like to see Duvion and the Art Space participate in this.
I agree with you there, Brian. I also think that picking hyper local artists, since we got them, is a smart move considering our past experience, but also having folks that are already part of the community and in our community is probably the best way to go. Again, this discussion is just kind of keep everybody in the loop on how we're moving along, and so that everybody sees everything, and also to see who wants to participate on that subcommittee. But I think once the subcommittee meetings happen, obviously you all can look at every single thing that has been submitted, but I think the committee can obviously make the decision of which direction to go, but I think that direction is probably going to be in line with what we both said, which is the hyper local route with people who are local to the community.
Yeah. So I mean, that immediately starts to disclude some of these applicants.
Yeah, we only have Jermaine, Five Fingers, Oksana were the three that were from Norwalk. We also have
Yeah.
Lauren Clayton, who's, was local, but is in Stamford. The rest are kind of farther away. Not that it would matter, but I think the community-driven nature of this piece specifically and what we're looking for lends to having somebody who's actually in the community. now.
Agreed. And truthfully, the work of some of those other artists who are further away don't scream community participation anyway. So I'll open up the floor here for anyone else to chime in or ask questions.
Brian, I completely missed from at least the last meeting or two on this project as a whole. So of course I know who all those artists are, but I'm not that familiar with this, so I can't really speak to it. I mean, I like the local artists, but I'm hearing all the exact same names that we always kind of hear. It'd be great to see more local artists outside of the circle, but really in a few sentences, what's the project again? And we went out we did a normal RFP like we typically do.
Yeah. Bob, this is why we take minutes, Bob.
No. No. All right, just move on. That's fine.
Okay, quick recap. Ely Avenue fence, which originally was kind of kicked over to Oksana. But ultimately we decided we actually need to go through the proper process of doing RFQs and not just give it to an artist. Is a project on a chain link fence that has to activate the community in some way. They have to be participating in the creation of this. We're sort of leaving it to the artists and artist groups to define that, and we will be looking to them for that information. For now, it's vague. So we are simply looking for people who we're starting our sort of target right in the middle of Norwalk and then slowly growing it to Fairfield County and then maybe further out to Connecticut only. For our selection process.
Oksana was the one that presented this originally?
Yes, this is the same project.
Yeah, I that meeting. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so right now we're just kind of generally I'm getting some feedback from anyone before we go to sort of a subcommittee. And like Sabrina said, just kind of update everybody where we are and who officially applied, and who we may want to see work from that did not apply, because we reserve the right to. We can also reopen this RFQ. There's a lot we can do here. We don't have to stick to this. That's all within the rules that we set forth when we made our how we do this document, allowed us the possibility to open this back up. So anyone, feel free to chime in. Otherwise we can take it offline.
I feel like we should definitely put something together that's for the committee to make it easy for the committee to go into this group, seeing that we're going to have so many people that are not part of the Arts Commission and don't have the art background. So I feel like whenever we go into committee, that has to be very organized and straightforward, so that way it makes it easier for them and less cloudy.
Agreed. Others, standouts. Kevin, go ahead. You're muted.
Yeah, I just happened to be working on a documentary about behavioral science. And I just have been fascinated by that whole process. And I still wonder, and I guess, gets sort of away from the visual kind of, the aesthetics of what each of these artists are presenting. I have my own feelings if I like any more than the other. But I'm just wondering if we're attempting to do any kind of social change or in nudging people in a certain direction with the presentation that's going to be done on that mural, that if that's part of the mission is to because if you look at that place, it's on the one hand you're seeing like new development kind of going up in the background, and you're seeing the train tracks, and then you're seeing kind of a rough looking area that has historically been kind of neglected. And I'm just wondering if there's any, impetus on the part of the commission, whatever, to institute something or to present something that might nudge people to behave or do pro-social kinds of behavior in any sort of way.
That's a great perspective. It wasn't called out in the initial sort of, this is what we're hoping to do, but I think that's certainly a good thing to keep in mind and potentially include in the direction, if that's something we want to explore, include in the direction that we give to the artists or artist groups that we offer the proposal to.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a set of issues that are, emanating from that community that that might in some ways be addressed and like nudged along with the message that is or what the artist is sort of presenting there. That if there's, I don't know if it's a high crime area, I don't know, it seems to be an area in transition. I don't know. I guess the politicians would know that best, or the people in the neighborhood. But if you're hoping, or if you're just looking for something that's going to unify like visually that space, that's fine. But if it's also has a social purpose, what is there anyone who in the project that you're picking up who has indicated that there might be a social purpose involved or needed?
Yeah, well, it's a good perspective. Potentially Jermaine. I know that's always top of mind for his work in general. I don't know about the others. Good perspective.
My only
though.
other thing is that I remember in the city council meeting when we all met that they had ideas of what they wanted to see. And I just want to make sure that we're an advocate for the artists that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't need to say anything. Thanks. We're on the same page.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. I'm always advocating for artists doing what they want to do and what they do best, and not trying to, horse by committee these projects.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like that's one of the benefits of the commission. That's one of the purposes that we serve, is to give a voice to the artists and make sure that's not lost.
Good reminder, for sure.
So Brian,
Okay.
what is the immediate task there? We're not choosing the artists.
We're not choosing the artists. It's really kind of an update, a bit of a discussion, for people to chime in, and also to let everybody know that I am, I'd like to find commission members who are interested in working on the selection process. You don't need to tell me this right this second, but if you are interested, just let me know. In conjunction with Dewan and Darlene Young. So yeah, that's kind of it, really.
Okay.
Others?
I mean, so the one you were saying that you didn't think would be apropos would be David's. Was it? I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, the sculptor. He's
Sculpting.
got an impressive resume, I gotta say. I mean, the fact
Oh, he
that he's-
does.
I mean, he has the Skoski Juan or whatever. I can never remember how to pronounce that school's name. On his resume, which is major, and I want to see more sculpture, but like for this project, it just doesn't feel right. That's really the only one that, especially if we're looking at everything and not just staying hyper local, which it sounds like we probably are. To me, that was like the big one that I was like, what's this guy gonna do? Teach people how to weld stainless steel? Like, I can't imagine this going the way he thinks it is. It's like he didn't read. Being on the other side of this as an artist and seeing the selection process, you realize how many people like just don't read the application notes. And then it's like, dude, your work doesn't fit this. Including there's another guy who's a very good painter. He's good at rendering. He's got a number of things in gouache, but I'm like, dude, no, it's not, this doesn't apply. And truthfully, like Five Fingers, his references with just a list of names, given we do, but assuming we just know those people, it's like, I don't know. I start to get really frustrated at some of the lack of professionalism sometimes. And it feels like you don't like our time isn't valuable. You don't think our time is valuable, so you do things like that and waste our time. Anyway, I'm getting in the weeds on this. It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. What was your frustration with Five's thing?
That you're supposed to list references with, and when you do that, it includes contact information. He just like put like Duvian, I forget the other two, but you know, just like literally just listed names, and I'm like, okay, so no phone number, no email address, no title. Like this slip is pretty like common practice.
Well, Brian, these are artists. Like, really? Like, you're surprised at that? You're surprised?
I don't act like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
You're not.
I don't want to get in the weeds on this. I don't want to get in the weeds on this. All I'm saying is that, and what started this is that the sculptor in particular, to me, was like he didn't read the application. Like his work is high level $80,000 public sculptures. This is a $75,000 community-based public art project.
Yeah.
Your work does not apply. I'm glad you know we exist. I'm glad you applied and tossed your hat in the ring in a way, but like, yeah, it's just I get annoyed, and we can leave it at that. It's fine. It's just me being frustrated at the lack of professionalism sometimes. And Bob, I don't accept that. I think artists are some of the hardest working people on the planet.
Hold on. I'd never said they weren't hard. It's working.
Okay, fair enough.
Lack of professionalism, really? I mean, come on. I know all these guys too. Like, I'm not surprised that Five did that. Come on.
But
moving on.
my thing is that I really feel like this feels like a very neighborhood, local piece that's going to be an attachment to that neighborhood, and I think that it would be really disingenuous. I mean, although I love bringing in artists from around the world. I spoke in favor of that many times, but I feel like for this piece, I think we need a local artist who has an attachment to South Norwalk, and of everybody that's represented here, to me, I only see one choice. I don't think we should be choosing somebody for this piece from New Fairfield or from Ridgewood.
I don't think so either.
Connecticut.
I think Jermaine, Raph, and then, like I said, I would like to extend this to the art space and Duvian.
Yeah, I would do that. I would invite those guys to submit. But
nonetheless, that's something to be decided later. Before we move on here, does anyone else have any comments and notes that they want heard? Okay. If you think of anything, feel free to email me. Again, if anyone's interested in being part of that subcommittee, please email me, and we will form it and hopefully have. I would really like to see if we can have these selections done before next meeting, but who knows? Okay, moving on. Old business. Update on the NEA grant for Heritage Wall. Is the NEA even a thing?
It currently is not, and they defunded all of the programming and defunded and are not paying back folks who had already approved money. So I doubt this will go anywhere unless something drastic happens, but we did submit it. Hopefully something changes, but as of right now, not looking too hot. So we can just move on from that, I guess.
Okay, pin in that. All right. And then last but not least, budget reviews.
Budget review, not much has changed. The only things that have been taken out of here are the last mixer we had. Other than that, nothing really changed here. On the capital budget side, nothing has changed here either. As you can see, we have, $26,000 left in here to do something with. 10 of that is supposed to stay for some maintenance. So yeah, we have some money to do something small here if we wanted, but other than that, no real updates or changes.
And that 8K in the operating that needs to be used before June or July?
June 30th, so technically July.
All right, let's do something.
Yeah,
so we'll have
something.
We'll have another mixer for sure, which will eat up probably another, $1,500 or so.
No, let's get better alcohol at that. Let's go like $2,500.
We're talking about buying supplies for the traffic graphic box.
Oh yeah.
So we can also do that as well.
Yeah, let's get some primer and stuff in our tool belt.
Yep.
And when we're doing this, can we find some artists to go around and fix some of these traffic graphic boxes that are around here that are tagged and look bad? Because
Yeah,
there's some that really look bad.
We sure can. If you see one, let us know which one it is, and then we can reach
or
out
if
to
you
the
know an
original
artist, or if you know, okay, that, yes. But also just in general, our approval process has gotten so streamlined on this. If anyone knows any visual artists who want a cool, what is it, $1,000 right now? But we're talking about upping it, $1,000
Yep.
to go paint a box. Like, come on, let's cover all these boxes. I want all the 5th graders in Norwalk to paint boxes. That'd be amazing.
I agree. Is there any way that maybe the marketing crew for Norwalk can, put a push out there of we'd like to get these updated because some of them look really nasty.
We sure can. I just need a
Yeah, let's
list
do
of what boxes we want to tackle, and then I can send them to get checked, and then we can go from there. And then in addition to that, where you want to do some media around the People's Gallery, it hasn't been updated in probably since 2018 or so. So it's time. And we have other wall space in City Hall that's just sitting empty. And we bought the hanging systems to install more art. So I think that's something we can also do and use some operating funds to help execute that too.
Mark, I have a question. If you had mentioned that you always wanted to do a space where it's all the music from local artists.
Yeah.
Can you get tracks for that? And I feel like we could all, and can you get me the artist's work for the album cover or something? And I feel like we can do displays for one of the galleries and get a bunch of little something or other that'll play this music and put it up on the wall and make it look nice. I mean, I feel like we could do that. It wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, we were gonna do that. That was the original idea I had for the Made in Norwalk, which was gonna be all Norwalk born artists and then have QR codes, and then the QR code would open.
Yeah.
up.
Can
Yeah.
I've got ideas for
Basically,
how
I've
to
done
make
all-
it look, but how to make it look nice. Can you get me an idea of how many pieces we'd be doing? Is there any way we could move forward with this idea and get it done? Because we've
I
always
would
wanted
love
to.
to. We had the budget approved for this under the old Arts Commission. And when they got changed over, I would love to see that happen, actually.
Okay, well, how many pieces are we looking at?
Well, originally I was looking at I just picked an arbitrary number, 10, because I was basically looking at, this was originally going to be for the Mayor's Gallery, which is relatively small. If we could see this being in the People's Gallery, which would be a little bit larger space, I mean, there were I couldn't believe how many artists I came up with. I mean, there were so many well-known artists and really successful artists from Norway.
All right, so Sabrina, which space are you wanting us to fill, Mayor's Gallery or People's Gallery?
We could do both. Both haven't been changed out in a long time, but the People's
Okay.
Gallery hasn't been changed out in a longer amount of time. Plus, we can
I agree.
expand the People's Gallery, probably double it in size at this point with the amount of free wall space we have down there now.
Okay. Hey, Mark, can you do me a favor? Well, hey, first off, how much kind of a budget are we looking at that we can do this in?
$1 million would be.
Oh, well,
Nice,
come on.
nice,
Be
nice.
realistic here.
So I tell you, I would love to have somebody else, somebody like Bob Abriola, not to speak for Bob, but somebody who is very visual, who could help me on the visual side of this, as far as the design of it.
Yeah.
I've done all the research, and I have all the music, and I had gotten permissions from a lot of the artists. But as far as somebody to help put it together visually, that'd be great.
Well, that's kind of what I was wanting to do, and you just overstepped what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to help you with that. Can the three of us work together offline and put it together? Then,
Sure. Oh, for sure, absolutely. I love
because I
that.
have a vision of how I'd like to help you execute this.
Yeah, please.
And to your point about budget, so this other professional services line item is kind of the money that we can use this for. And plus, if anything needs to be printed or anything like that, we have that $500 in there as well.
So 500 plus what?
I mean, there's $5,500 in the other professional services budget. So we have flexibility essentially.
Okay.
Janae's had her hand up for a long time. Janae?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. You were finishing what you were talking about. No, I was just gonna note too, on the budget side, we had talked about potentially doing another kind of sponsorship of the Factory Underground open mic. Like,
Yeah.
so that's an option. And then Mark and I were meeting today about Make Music Day in Norwalk. So
Yeah.
there's something there that we could potentially fund some of that.
For sure. Let's pay some musicians with this money for sure.
So with the Make Music Day, I mean, this is like, maybe this is not appropriate because it's not on the agenda, but for,
Well, it's a member update. We're moving to member updates now.
so for,
Well, I have a question about the traffic graphic boxes.
Okay. Well, let's stick with Make Music Day for now and then traffic graphic.
to officially have a Make Music Day in Norwalk, I need to come up with $350 to pay for the, I was gonna do this originally through the Wall Street Neighborhood Association, because we're a very small nonprofit. Basically, the fee is sort of based on the size of the organization. So they sent me an invoice for $350 and I'm gonna basically have to, I was gonna pay myself. But if there is money for, that could be come from the Arts Commission or from the city to cover that, that'd be amazing.
Well, let's get that on the agenda for next time because we have to have that as an agenda item to vote on. But I think that's that seems like a very doable amount. I support that for sure. Okay, Nori or Mark, do you have anything else there?
No, I don't.
Okay, Nori, traffic graphics.
So the graphics, the traffic graphics that I'm thinking of are in South Norwalk that have to be redone. Do we go to the artist who originally painted them, which could have
I
been
think
like 20 years
I think as a
ago?
first step in a piece of in a nice goodwill, we should. If it were me, I would appreciate that to give them, you know, sort of right of first refusal on redoing it. And if we can't get a hold of them or they say no, then we'll move on to trying to find someone new to do something new.
Do we have that list?
Okay. It might be on the PDF of all the
Maybe they signed
city's,
it.
artwork that's on the website, that because they usually put down who did it. So we can look through that. We may have the names.
Maybe. Okay. I would like to have Janae and Mark just quickly recap the events. I'm so sorry that I missed all of them like a chump. It's, you know, life got in the way there, that stretch. But they did what, you guys did 3 events in April or something like that? The
Yeah,
poetry
we
one,
had-
open mic, and the mixer.
Yeah,
It
we
was
had the mixer and we had the poetry event as well.
Yeah, too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome work. That, I mean, how did it all go? Tell us about it.
Poetry event went extremely well. The mayor came with his wife and
Nice.
was very, very well attended. And it was just really, really great event from top to bottom. And
Nice.
we captured video of the event. We recorded all the poets, and you know, it's going to be turned into a live record that's going to come
Cool.
coming out on Spotify and such. Yeah, it was a really, really overall very positive event, and it gave a really, really good kickoff to Katie Schneider, who's the new poet laureate. So she's been super psyched and taking that energy, carrying it forward. So.
And I think that we of course helped sponsor that event, and we had there was food and beverages there, so we had talked about even light bites, but Anna and Sabrina had like a full spread of dinner that was available
Nice.
for people attending. So I think that was really well received, and they loved that there was cookies too, which people literally cleared in like 30 seconds. And then we had drinks and things. And so I think it really kind of elevated the event. And I think people, really enjoyed it. It was a good mix. I think a diverse slate of poets and so, yeah, I think it was great.
And
Nice.
the open mic also went very well. It was one of the best attended that we've had.
Yeah, it was packed. I was shocked because I was there for the first one that they did. And like she said, there was like maybe by the end, it was like me, the host, and like one other person. Like there was maybe one person listening to me by the end, because I think there were maybe like 10 of us to start. And I mean, you'll hopefully see all the images and video soon, but it was a packed house. And there was someone dancing, there was singing, there was rapping, drum playing, everything. So I think the word has really spread. And again, I think it was elevated. We had light bites there, and those got cleared. There were little Chick-fil-A nuggets and things like that. So people love that, and fruit. And then, like I said, we'll have photos as well as video of the individual performances that will be available for Factory Underground to promote, as well as the individual artists and people who performed. So I think it was really well received.
Yeah, one woman drove from Middletown, New York, which is quite a hike. It's like
Damn.
hours away. She drove with her son to so he could perform. So shocked.
Wow. That's cool. Well, right on. I mean, I'm so glad to see it. I'm so glad to see that we're activating this part of our creative community too, and that people are starting to come out. I mean, Janae, when we first met, it's one of my things that I said, I was hoping that you and Mark could team up on, and you guys have really taken it. That's cool to see.
Yeah. So Janae came today to the factory so we could have an offline meeting at 5 o'clock about Make Music Day. So that kind of bled into, that's why we were
Nice.
together today. But
I was hoping she was recording an album, but not yet, I guess.
that's what I'm hoping for too. But
We'll get there.
get there.
Anyone else with any updates? Okay, right on. Well, in that case, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to stay.
I motion to adjourn.
No one's seconding that, Mark. We have a second to Janae's
I would like to
motion?
second, Melissa.
Thank you. Brian Castro vote aye. Mark Allen.
I'll vote aye.
Oh, look at that. Changing it up. Bob Abriola.
Aye.
Janae Sylvester.
Aye.
Melissa Matuska.
Aye.
And Nori Gruden.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Carrie, I will see everybody soon, and offline, email me about subcommittee and anything else. Love
All right.
you.
Thank you so much.